Hey guys, my name is Alacy and welcome to my channel, The Sea Life 6. If you're new here, please remember to hit that subscribe and notification button so you can get notified every time a new video comes out. Alright, I know it's been a minute since I made a video, but I thought today would be a perfect day to go over how to homeschool a stubborn, hard-willed child, because y'all know your girl's got a few of them, okay? So, I've actually been asked this by multiple people over the past couple of months, ever since COVID happened, virtual learning's happened, and they're like, how do you get your kids to homeschool when they just don't want to homeschool? So, number one, there's no magical method to this. There's gonna be good days, there's gonna be bad days. There's gonna be days where your kid's gonna do homeschool and you don't, and there's gonna be days where your kids don't want to homeschool and you do. So whether you're virtual learning or doing actual just homeschool, you've done your own curriculum thing, you can kind of use this for both. And if you're doing virtual learning, it's something that you should be in contact with your child, school teacher and his administration about if you're having a lot of trouble getting him on the computer or her on the computer. I say him a lot, I only have boys. And just keep the lines of communication open so that they know that you're having some struggle, so they're not just either marking your child absent for not logging on or not having participation points. Communication is really the best thing when it comes to online virtual learning, because unfortunately the teachers are not with your child 24/7. They're not around them enough maybe to learn their habits like they did if they were in school like last year. A lot of people, you know, COVID started, it was halfway through the school year, so a lot of teachers knew their kids. Now a lot of kids have started with virtual learning under new teachers that don't really know the children. So always communicate, not only with the teacher. My cat is going to join us in just a second. If you're having issues, and the administration as well, you're your best child's advocate when it comes to this, so just keep pushing. So for the homeschool aspect, how I deal with kiddos. Hi Mushu. You gonna come join us? You gonna come join? We got a kitten upon moving. His name is Mushu. Here, you wanna make your YouTube introduction? Say hi, baby. Hi. Yes, I have another boy. Boy dog, boy cat. We only have boys in this house. That actually wasn't planned, at least the cat part wasn't. We had someone in the neighborhood that offered free kittens and he was just the one that I liked. So there you go. So back on to the main topic, how to homeschool hard-willed, stubborn, hard-headed, just kids that are not as easygoing as a lot of kids. So most of you know, if you watched my videos before, I have my oldest child who I've been homeschooling the longest out of all my children, because he's unfortunately not able to cope with being in school, and because of his sensory and autism disorder. He just doesn't function well in school, too much sensory overload for him. But he is also a hard-headed, strong-willed child. When he does not want something, a lot of people know this about autistic children, when they don't want to do something, it's a knockout, drag out. It can be a fight. And I've had to learn over the past almost 2 years what does and doesn't work with him, when I need to push it and when I need to step back. But for those that don't have a child in the autism spectrum, or a child that has a disability and you're just like, I just have a strong-willed child, I don't know what to do. I do have one of those as well. My kindergartner, my third child, let me tell you guys, my third child would give you a run for your money. I always tell people he's gonna be a CEO of something, because he does not like taking orders from anyone. So I've kind of really had to go about how I'm doing things with him a lot differently, because one, he does not have a very long attention span. He's like a fly, whoop, they're gone. It's amazing. No, he doesn't have ADHD, because when something interests him, he can pay attention for long periods of time. It's a lot of picking and choosing. Again, strong-willed children, they don't want to do something, they're just not going to do it. And I know I probably have like the older generation, oh, well, you need to like, you know, spank that out of them. I don't want to take that away from my kids, because I feel like that's a trait that is a good trait, because when they're older, they're not going to get steamrolled by people. They're not going to do something they don't want to do. They're not going to be easily manipulated, because that they have in their personality, no, not doing that, thanks, bye. And they're not going to have the peer pressure of people going, oh no, you should do it, because they're very much, it doesn't even matter if it's me, my husband, their cousins, friends, if they don't want to do something, my stubborn children are just like, no, they don't care what you think, they're not doing it. So I've kind of had to change how I approach doing school with him. So normally, you know, like a lot of us, you start out homeschooling, you have a schedule, you're trying to follow the schedule to a T, and I have just learned that a schedule like school just does not work for homeschooling. When you're in a brick and mortar school, you have to remember they're not just doing one thing all day. They're getting up, they're transitioning from classrooms, they're having art, they're having PE. They're not just sitting in one local spot all day long. So I feel like that's something that you should take into account when you're looking at, you know, your child struggling. If you're having issues, say, okay, am I looking at this like because I want him to be seated at the kitchen table or at the desk or in his room or on the floor, wherever you guys are doing homeschooling? Am I asking them to sit still for too long? Because even in a brick and mortar school, they're up, they're moving about, they're transitioning from room to room, going to lunch, going to PE. So in a homeschool setting, there isn't that transition. That getting up and walking around doesn't happen. So it might just be that you need to shorten your lesson time and give more breaks. Whether it's a 5-minute, a 10-minute, maybe a 15-minute break, getting up, walking around, stretching, kind of getting your child off the topic of what they're doing, focusing on something else and bringing it back. I want to point out, I have this little timer almost. This was actually given to me for a review by the company. However, the company doesn't know I'm doing this. I did the review almost a year ago, but I still have it and I still like it. It's a small little clock timer and it's a visual clock timer. So if I want a 15-minute break, I'll set it to 15 minutes. It's red, and when it slowly goes down to 0, then it beeps, lets my children know, okay, they are now done. The visual clock really helps them instead of just trying to look at a digital clock even and say, okay, how long has it been? Because little kids are still learning time. So the visual presentation of the clock going down, they know, okay, wow, that's a big amount of time I have for a break. So getting something that shows your kids, okay, this is your break time, and allowing them to step away helps with getting that child that's having the issue out of what's going on. So let's say you're sitting down, you're trying to review letters. Like today we were going over letters and my son just didn't want to do it. Did not want to do it. We started off maybe 2 or 3 letters going strong, and then he was, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And my suggestion is when that first starts happening, push through it. Because here's the thing, when kids are learning something new and they're just not interested in it, they're going to do that. They're going to tell you that, they're going to have a sign. So the first thing I want to say is, before becoming worked up, say, okay, buddy, I hear you. I hear you don't want to do this, but let's get through this so we don't have to do it anymore. Okay? And then proceed. Try not to do the, well, you're going to do it. This is what we're doing. I don't care what you want to do. I've done that myself, trying to get my oldest to stay on point, and that kind of talk doesn't work. I'm getting frustrated. I'm letting my frustrations come out in my speaking, and I really learned that if I look at my kid and go, okay, I hear you, I hear what you're saying, but however, we have to do this to get done, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. So let's go ahead and do this, and then we don't have to do it for the rest of the day today. How does that sound? It's really like, on a reverse psychology, basically. And that really does work, especially on little kids, like reverse psychology. Really trying just to maintain yourself. I normally, when they start, I'll go, okay, all right, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be one of those days. And I'll start with that. And if we get a couple more letters in, or maybe a couple more minutes in, they start again, I'm gonna just reiterate, I hear what you're saying. I need you to stop what you're saying. It's not going to change what we're doing. Let's go ahead and get this done, and then we don't have to do it anymore. So in the second time that my kid starts with the I don't want to do it, or starts getting more frustrated, I kind of put a little more umphage into what I'm saying. I'm still saying the same thing. I'm still telling them I hear them. I understand that they're frustrated, but we're stopping what he's saying. He needs to stop what he's saying because we are going to complete the task. And then if he keeps going and we can't push through it, and then if let's say a tantrum starts evolving, okay? No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this. That's when I completely will stop. And I say, okay, we're stopping. We're stopping, and I'm going to grab the timer, and I'm going to say, I'm giving you a 5-minute mental break. Now, I learned this from my son's ABA therapist. A mental break and a physical break are 2 very different things, okay? It's a big thing with kids with autism. Because when a kids need a, like, okay, so you're giving a break, right? A physical break is them going and playing or doing something else. A mental break is they have to stay seated where they are, and they just are not doing the task that we were doing for 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, we're gonna take a deep breath and we're gonna continue doing what we're doing. But you have to distinguish between a physical break and a mental break. So you say, I'm giving you a mental break. We're going to come back to this in 5 minutes. You may not get up. We're going to come back. So you can sit in your chair and you can calm down, but we are not leaving our seat. We are not leaving our area if you have an area, and we're going to come back in 5 minutes. I'll set the timer. When the timer goes off, I'll come back and I'll say, are you ready to start again? And normally by this time, my child has done a 360 and they're like, yes. I'll have them say, are you still frustrated? I'll ask them what's going on. What's wrong? Why do you not want to do this? You know, kind of just not, instead of forcing it on a child that, no, we're going to do this and you're going to do it now. Because here's the thing. I am a dyslexic person. School is very hard for me. I have 2 children now that are dyslexic as well. School is very hard for them. You know, having an autistic child and a dyslexic child, it's real bad sometimes. And the frustration is there. And I know the frustration because I know how learning how to read and numbers and things are flipped backwards are. And it makes you just feel like, one, you feel stupid. You feel like you're a failure. And that's not something that I want to, you know, do to my children. We've come a long way, even since the late 80s, early 90s, with how we approach kids. And one way to keep them interested in school is by not just demanding that they do something. Okay, we need to talk to them. Communication, I tell you what, when I first started this, I was just like, no, my kid's gonna do work and he's gonna do work when I'm telling him to do work. He's not gonna get away with the things that he was doing. While that's true, that's very true, the way you go about it, it's really gonna set the mood for how your day with homeschooling or virtual schooling is going to be. And like I said, normally by the time that they have had a 5-minute mental break, they will normally come to me, Mommy, I'm sorry, thank you. I ask them if they want a hug, and I say, can we please continue? Now, granted, I'm not letting them tell me no, okay? I'm just saying, can we please continue as a courtesy? Because I also want my children to realize that, like, we have to talk to each other nicely, you know? I don't want to be, at the end of the day, in a closet crying because my kids were horrible with school, I was mean with school, I'm a mean teacher. I don't want all that. And that's something that I really had to figure out that first year of homeschooling, because that first year was rough. I didn't really know how to approach things, not only, again, with a child who's homeschooling, but a child that has disabilities. So my son finally started having his therapy at home. Our therapist, Rachel, gave us so many tools that now have not only have helped him, but it's helping me with my other kids. So now let's talk about if your kid goes into full-blown meltdown, tantrum mode, and it's just like out of control. You've given them the 5-minute mental break, right? You get back into it and they just lose their minds. Now what you need to do is they are getting a timeout, right? And I don't care if the kid is 5 or 15. So now they're getting pulled away from the situation. Okay, I've given you time to calm down. However, this is learning time. This is not playtime. This is not you do what you want to do time. This is learning time. Because the other thing is, we have to instill in our children that there's sometimes things that they're going to do that they're not going to want to do, right? We go to work. We don't always want to go to work though, but you have to go to work. You know, you have to make that money to pay for the bills, to pay for the food, to pay for the house over your head. You're not going to have every single day where you're doing something that you want to do. We have to teach our children there. Sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do. So if they're in full-blown meltdown tantrum mode, I'm talking snot, screaming, hollering, I now take them out of the situation. And this is where you can kind of decide on what you want to do. I have some people that go and put their children just in an opposite room. They go take them to their bedroom. They go put them on the stair. I kind of have like a building escalating thing. So my kids start out in the corner. And this might be, you know, oh, you put your kids in the corner? Each to their own. Each family needs to discipline their own children their own way. But I'm not allowing my children to choose what they want to do with school. Okay, it's not a choice. School has to get done. End of the day, it's going to get done. How we get done, how we get there is a journey that I'm willing to take with them, but I'm not going to let them be disrespectful, and I'm not going to let them lose their minds over something as simple as schooling. So they go to the corner. Then they get 5 minutes in the corner. After the 5 minutes is up, I walk over, I get down on their level. Are you done? Are you done? If they're still not done, I'm gonna say, if you're not done, I'm going to remove you to the steps, okay? Now we've gone from the corner to the steps. Okay, now I'm adding an additional 5 minutes. I'm constantly moving them areas because it's like kind of refreshing them on why they're there. When you're sitting somewhere for too long, you don't really care. You know what I mean? I guess that's just how I was as a child. I was a very stubborn teenager. I was very hard-headed. That's where my children get it from. My husband was very hard-headed. And I could sit somewhere, you want to put me somewhere, that's fine. I'll sit there all day long. But if I was constantly like moving around, I'd finally get tired up and be like, okay, fine, whatever, I'm done. So I then move them to the step. They get another 5 minutes. If we still have not come down, I've walked over and said, are you done yet? Then they go to their room. If they're in their room, then they're done for good. They're done for at least 20 minutes. Go on and push the limit. And now you're at the 20-minute mark. My reasoning for wanting you to kind of take your kid and put them in their room, or put them in just a different room. Maybe you're in one room and you just want to put them in the other. They need the separation just like you need the separation. Once they get that worked up, I'm worked up, they're worked up, and it's time for us to kind of like whoop, go. We both need breaks. And when you put your kid in another room for 20 minutes and they're able to just kind of like by themselves, they really can calm down. I go back after that 20 minutes and I ask them once again, are you done? Are you ready to do schoolwork? If they say no, I turn my butt around and I walk right back out of the room. I'm not gonna stand there, I'm not gonna beg them, I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm gonna walk out of the room. This keeps me being in control as a parent. It's not me saying, please, can you calm down? Please, let's go back and do school. No, if they have not calmed down and they're saying no, that's fine. You can sit in here. I turn around and I walk away. And I've had to do that a couple times where it's like, okay, fine. I turn around and walk away. And that's when they're like, oh my gosh, mom's not playing around. Oh, I don't want to be in my room anymore. You might have to do that 2 or 3 times, or you come ask their kid, are you done? Can we proceed? And they say no. Okay, turn around and walk out of the room. Once they have finally calmed down, you sit down with them, you look them in the face, you're like, are you done? They say yes. Say, do you understand what was going on? Why were you getting so upset? Give them a moment to kind of tell you why they were getting so upset. Listen to them so they kind of feel like, okay, my mom really does care, my dad really does care. And then talk about, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but we can't do this. Do you understand me? Yes, okay then. I also have my kids apologize. Say, I'm sorry for what I've done. I'm sorry, okay. I accept your apology. I take them by the hand. We come back downstairs, which is where our homeschooling area is, and we get started. We pick back up where we left off. And it's pretty, and I'm not gonna say it's simple because that whole process is not a simple process. It can be tiring, it can be daunting, it can be just like it's sucking the life out of you. But you have to stay firm when it comes to making sure you're in control, because unfortunately the outburst, they're not gonna do it. The refusal will get worse if you kind of just give in and say, okay, whatever, I don't care. Okay, whatever, I don't want to do this. And take it from someone who knows. I got to the point many times where I'm like, okay, fine, I'm not gonna do this. And then when I had to get them back into school, it was completely worse. The cat's just all over the place. She's doing things I'm supposed to be doing. When I had to get them back into work, it was a headache. Okay. Because they thought they were in control of the situation. No, we don't want that. And again, you can do this and you can have your child and you can homeschool a child that is hard-headed without being physical with them, without screaming. Again, this is even something that I've had to learn without the yelling. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a yeller. I tend to yell when I'm mad, when I'm angry, and it doesn't work. Not for me, not for my kids, because then my kids are upset and they're yelling. It's just a big mess. So I really have to focus and I really have to be like, okay, I need to keep myself in check and I need to contain the situation right now. I can't let my mad, pissed off, like these kids are driving me insane, get to my head, because when it's gotten to my head, then everything goes downhill from there. So a stubborn child, there's just kind of some things you have to do. And let's say you're done, you're tapped out, you can't deal with it anymore, because ladies and gentlemen, there are days where you're just like, white flag, I'm done, can't take this no more. You are pushed to your own mental exhaustion. Children can push you to mental exhaustion, whether you have 1 or 15. If it's a bad day, it's a bad day, let me tell you. And normally when it's a bad day, everybody's having a bad day. Okay, so when I'm like waving the white flag, I'm not just allowing there to be no school and we're just kind of doing whatever we want. There's a lot of in our room quiet time. If they are older kids and they don't nap, you don't have to nap, but you're going in your room, you're having quiet time. Mommy needs to have quiet time. We need that separation still. And there's also things that don't happen that day. My hard-headed one right here. Hi. All right. There's a lot of things that don't happen. We don't just get to, you know, earn kids YouTube that day. We don't get to earn their Kindle time. They don't get to just sit back and watch movies. Normally, if I've gotten to the point where it's exhaustion, electronics are a no-go. Absolutely not. We're not gonna have a bad day and then you think you're gonna plop down and just watch TV or something all day long. You can go draw, you can go color, you can go play with your toys, but we're not doing electronics at all if we've gotten to that point. So kind of figure out what is something that you feel like, if your kids have gotten you to that point, what you feel like you should take away from them. Maybe it's not electronics, maybe your kids are obsessed with painting, and figure out something that is your child's favorite thing to do. And unfortunately, if they haven't listened that day, they do not get to do it. Simple. And then when you go to do school the next day, you pick up exactly where you left off. And I mean, if I'm doing letters and we stopped at M, we're picking up at M. If I'm doing math and we stopped halfway through a math worksheet, we're picking up on that worksheet. This kind of instills in them, okay, we might have walked away for a little bit, but I still have to come back and do it. I also tell my kids, I look at my schedule and I say, okay, we didn't do work today. All right, that's fine. Everyone trying to have a bad day. Let's see. Oh, we're not doing anything on Saturday. We don't have any plans this Saturday. So since we decided to have a freebie day today, guess what we're doing on Saturday? We're gonna do school on Saturday. Or if I have something planned that weekend, I will double down on school the next day. Breaks will become a lot less, and we'll wind up sitting at computer desk all day if we have to, because I normally only homeschool in the afternoons. So if we have not completed our work, we're gonna double down. I guess we're gonna do it in the morning, and instead of going outside and doing our morning activities outside getting fresh air, we're not doing any of that. We're just gonna double down on school. You really kind of have that continuity of like, okay, I'm not just getting out of this, I still have to do it. And like I said, there's ways of going about dealing with a stubborn child that's not physical, it's not mentally exhausting for you or the child. Please remember, you're going to have bad days. Like, there are gonna be bad days, guys. There's gonna be fantastic days. But just like when your kids are in school, and I know I say this on other videos, when your kids are in school, they have bad days, expect them to have bad days homeschooling. Not every single day is gonna be rainbows and butterflies. Not every single day is gonna be tears. There are gonna be days that are awesome and days that are not awesome. But keep pushing forward. Know that if this is something that's in your heart to do, that you can do it, and just don't give up on it. I hope that this video has helped someone, somewhere, something about how to handle a stubborn child, what to do if, you know, they're just refusing to do schoolwork, kind of how I handle my children. Again, maybe you didn't agree with anything in this video. That's okay. Everyone's parenting styles are different. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video.